it's Puddles Farm again. Welcome, especially if you're a new subscriber or a new viewer. June has been very busy. I have put a few videos out, but there's so much that I haven't been able to show or film because I've just had to get on with the jobs. There's been a lot of moving animals and fences and repairing things. So today I thought we'll do a little bit of a stock take, see what's gone on the farm so far and what the plans for the future are. And we're going to start with the pigs. Good morning, piggies. I always find it amazing that these pigs like to have a lie down, the white ones in particular, while they're eating. It's like the laziest thing. I'm not sure if it's a tactic, if they lay on the food they can store it for later and nobody else will get it, or whether they're just genuinely so lazy they like to lie down while they eat. I know, Ava, you want water. She's poking her water saying, hey, you need to fill that up, I'm thirsty. So we'll do that next. But I literally just went to switch the hose pipe on. I've left it in what will be their wallow. Use a bit more water in there. They're all itchy because, as I say, they were in the hedgerow yesterday, wouldn't come out, they were having such fun, and there must be something in there that irritated their skin because all four of them today are itching away. These guys absolutely rely on the muck to use as sunscreen in this weather. You can see Smokey is always the first thing. She really enjoys helping make a wallow. One of the things happening is my neighbour will be coming back and ploughing on my land because where the pigs have been, I knew they would plough the earth a little bit, but they have made great big craters in places. So my neighbour Jimmy will come and plough for me, which will be wonderful. And then I'm going to sow this area, which is a bit battered. Once it's a bit flatter, I'm going to sow it with buckwheat, Phacelia and sunflowers. I don't know how far the sunflowers will get this season because we're already in July, but the buckwheat will do well and the Phacelia will do well. They're very quick growing, and it will make this area, first of all, level and workable, and the buckwheat and the Phacelia and the sunflowers will be like a green manure, so that will improve the soil also. Then I'll have to decide what I do with this. But the solution for the pigs is down here. I moved them yesterday. I made a huge mistake because they do follow the bucket for their food. And so when I moved that area, I turned them out so I could move the electric netting without the fiddle of trying to keep them inside. And then when I came to get them back in, they wouldn't follow the bucket because when I first turned up, I had fed them and they were not hungry. And they were having such a wonderful time in the hedgerow. So they're here. So the idea is they have a small hub. I've kept it really small so that they don't use it as a toilet. So there's one end that I use to feed, which is this end, and the other end down here where we have the start of a wallow. So there's a house, feeding area and a wallow area, and then from there are 12 posts in this small area, and then from each of those posts the plan is to have it as a hub and spoke system. So this is the first spoke. So this is their area for rooting around, enjoying the sunshine, and basically being pigs and pooping. And then each week they will move on. So they'll be on a 12-week rotation around this area, and this will be permanently pig area. So if it has holes in it, that's fine. I'm really pleased with my garden area. The plan this year is just to get the soil prepared and conditioned ready for next year, and the clover I planted has really taken off and it's like billowy clouds now, so that will be fixing the nitrogen because it's a legume, and conditioning the soil beautifully. But I have squeezed in just a few annual crops, and next year it'll be turned over to perennial things. But I have got a really nice row of Swedes there and turnips, and up the middle I've just sown some beetroot because I really am quite partial to beetroot. The pea and bean Catherine wheels that I planted in the last garden update video are beginning to climb up and do well. It's been really hot and dry, so I'm really pleased with the peas there. I'm imagining these runner beans will, once they get their roots down to the water, that was probably a few inches deep now, will go up these canes quite quickly. This is a row of carrots that the pigs dug up, and there are huge gaps in there. But surprisingly, where I didn't sow carrots, obviously the pigs disturbed the seed. Right in the pathway I have carrots. The parsnips are doing really well coming up. The carrots and parsnips over here are doing well. These rows weren't disturbed, so you can see the difference. The carrots there are growing really thickly. I may have to thin some more. Here I've sown some more beetroot, and under these boards I've sown some more carrots, and they're germinating. And my tiny pumpkin plants that I was worried about have now exploded, and they are huge. They are flowering, mainly male flowers, but I have spotted one female flower, but the flowers are so pretty. My corn is coming up, which is nice, and even some of the other smaller types of squash that I put in are starting to do a little bit better as well. On the swale bank I still have my fruit tree at the end there, and we've got step over onions and marjoram. This is doing quite well. Everything's getting established. Nothing has suffered too badly with the really dry conditions. I've also sprinkled some annual seed for things that self-seed, so things like cornflowers, poppies, foxgloves, biennials and annuals that will self-seed and grow on their own. I thought I'd lost my globe artichoke, but it's come back again. It got really nibbled and eaten, but that's popped up again. I did put 4 in, I've only got 1 left, but that's fine. We'll try these things. Strawberry plants are looking really good. They got eaten and I thought they were going to disappear, but they've popped back nice and lush and green. So next year we will have strawberry plants, hopefully. My lemon balm there. And the catmint. It looks like a stinging nettle, but it's catmint. It's doing really, really well. And my compost. In this weather, even with the plastic topping and with hosing it down, my compost keeps drying out a lot, so that's been a bit of an issue. It's been turned, well, this end of the pile is new, and that's only been turned once, but this end of the pile has been turned 4 times. It's starting to look more composty. You can't recognise things like carrot peels, potato peels, or anything like that. It's quite moist at the moment, and it's really nice and warm. Eggshells and things like that, you get the occasional bit, but mostly you can't tell what things were. It's doing quite well. There are no nuggets of pig poo in there anymore. They've all broken down. My rhubarb still waiting to go in, hasn't enjoyed the hot dry weather, and I think it's probably run out of fuel in that tub. It looks like it needs another feed. I don't want to disturb it until it's out of its active phase. Phacelia, even this end where I thought the seeds were naff and nothing very much was coming up, has started to bloom. There is still a tiny blackcurrant in there, and in this very hot weather the Phacelia are shading the soil and stopping the wind getting to the leaves of these plants. She got some raspberries on this raspberry cane now. And everything along this bank is doing very well. A lot of it's hidden by the Phacelia, but they're tucked in there. And again, I'm not too worried because actually by being tucked in there, it's protecting them from the very harsh winds and the hot sun. So we've got the golden oregano in there, and the Phacelia, even really early in the morning, is buzzing. Things down here, again, this is the difference. Things here are not doing nearly as well because there isn't the ground cover. So I'm growing things on at home, which hopefully will fix that. I've got some creeping zinnia, which will be ground cover, and that grows quite quickly, 6 weeks to spread. So once that's big enough to transplant out, I will bring that in here, and that will help block up all these weeds the grasses that are growing up in between. I will chop and drop those, and I'll put in the zinnia, give it a good water and feed, and they'll take over hopefully, and then the things in this bed will do much better. And the big news is my chicks are finally big enough, they're fully feathered to be down here in the garden in their run, and they will be eating the grass, ripping up the top layer and manuring it so that I can extend the 100 square metre beds in the middle and fill out these edge bits. So they are doing a really good job in there. And I've designed this little, I say I've designed it, I worked out how to build it. These have been around for years. A little run that's more mobile and to get into the smaller areas. And I'm going to build several of those. And later on in the video, I will show you some footage. I'm just today having a hatch in my incubator at home. And the first few chicks, a dozen, are already hatched. And there are more on their way out. So we'll have some footage of those in a little bit too. Let's go have a look around the field, see if we can find those lambs too. So in the last video I put out, I was showing you how wild and overgrown my field was like this. But my neighbour has come and topped most of the field. The grass is like this now. And what I have been doing is raking up some of it, not all of it, most of it mulched down where it is, and piling it up here. It's about 18 inches to 2 feet thick. It will get a really good hose down. I will cover it with cardboard and hose that down too, and then the tarpaulin that I use in the perennial garden will come over this, and this is going to be my new annual beds next spring. All of this biomass is going to be composted into the soil. Now, this wild area that's been left, you're probably like, oh, why did you not get your neighbour to top all of the area? Simple, this is my infrastructure area for the moment. So in there are some solar panels. My hose pipe runs across there. Power cable so that I can keep my seeds in the fridge in the caravan as there. And I asked my neighbour to please give it a wide berth so as to not accidentally sever or chop or damage any of those things, which he very kindly did. But there is a plan. We will come and find the lambs now. The lambs are going to munch it, and by the time they have munched their way down this area, hopefully the green shoots from the grass that got topped will be up. They've been in here for 2 days and they've still got a lot of grass in here to eat. It's going to take them probably a week or two to get down to the end there, and then the green shoots of recovery will be popping up elsewhere. So there are the lambs. They hardly look like lambs. They look like sheep. They are small for sheep though. They're clearly not grown fully. And they are lovely, but they are also very naughty. If they get out, they do not like going back in. They don't follow the bucket anymore. They've realised they've been weaned and food is grass and there isn't going to be anything in the bucket. So they're just not interested. They are quite content. They sit, they roam around and they munch the grass, and then they sit down and chew it again. I was on my way back to the caravan and I was drawn by an absolutely divine smell. And at the top of my farm, in my hedgerow, it is absolutely covered in honeysuckle blossom, and it smells divine, and the smell is wafting down the field. So as promised, a little peek inside the incubator. As you can see, the hatch is going very well. There are more than 15 chicks in there that have hatched. They don't stay still long enough to count them, but there are also a number of pipped eggs in there as well. You can see one on the bottom left hand of the screen that's pipped. But I've counted about 8 more pipped eggs in there as well, so it's going to be a very good hatch this time. You can see this one actually, the one that's pipped at the bottom on the left is actually pecking away at the egg. You can every now and then see his little beak poking out, so he'll be out soon as well. And I will make a longer format video just on the hatch. I also promised to show you my nursery at home, and this is what I'm using. I'm using this room because it's got a trifold floor to ceiling window that is south facing, so it makes it really good for starting seedlings and things. I have a stand here which usually sits in front of the door, but I've moved it to the side because I've got either cuttings that have just taken or cuttings on there. So there are some cuttings in there. There's a rosemary. I think I've got a couple of pots of rosemary cuttings in there. I also use this back shelf. This is brilliant for starting cuttings on because it doesn't get direct sunlight, but it's really bright and airy. And you can see I've got several things starting as cuttings there at the moment. I use this balcony to harden things off and also just to grow things on. So I have a whole lot of Cape Gooseberry Chinese lantern that I started, some more globe artichoke that I started. I thought I'd get start on some winter cabbage which have germinated, but I tried these paper pots and I'm not very impressed. As you can see, you know, they've only been there for a very short while and they're already falling apart, so maybe not give those a go again. I've got some sweet Sicily I've started there, tarragon, lots more comfrey, some more Chinese lanterns a bit further along, chives, more tarragon. These are Welsh onions, but they're a red variety of Welsh onion, so we'll see how those get on. Chinese lantern or Cape Gooseberry or Physalis, depending on what you know them as. Garlic chives, which are just like chives but have more garlicky hints to them than the regular oniony chives. More globe artichoke, loads more Cape Gooseberry Chinese lantern. Here I've got some creeping zinnia that I've sown and some leeks. I literally sowed those about 3-4 days ago and they're already popping up, so I'm quite pleased with that. And here I just threw in some wild garlic seeds that I had collected from my wild garlic at my last place that I lived, and thrown it in there in some native soil to see what it does, and that's all popping up now, which is great. And my tomato plants that I've kept at home because until I get structure in at the farm it's going to be too windy for them. They're just going to end up laying on the ground, so they're here and they're just starting to flower there.